So this guy is a guy named Bob McKim, and he was a creativity researcher in the 60s and 70s, and also led the Stanford design program. And he liked to do an exercise with his students, where he got them to take a piece of paper and draw the person sat next to them, their neighbor, very quickly, just as quickly as they could. And McKim found this every time he did it with his students, he got exactly the same response. Lots and lots of sorries. And he would point this out as evidence that we fear the judgment of our peers, and that we're embarrassed about kind of showing our ideas to people we think of as our peers, to those around us. And this fear is what causes us to be conservative in our thinking. So we might have a wild idea, but we're afraid to share it with anybody else. Okay, so if you try the same exercise with kids, they have no embarrassment at all. They just quite happily show their masterpiece to whoever wants to look at it. But as they learn to become adults, they become much more sensitive to the opinions of others, and they lose that freedom, and they do start to become embarrassed. And in studies of kids playing, it's been shown time after time that kids who feel secure, who are in a kind of trusted environment, they're the ones that feel most free to play. So we have the finger blasters, other people have dinosaurs. You know, why do we have them? Well, as I said, we have them because we think maybe playfulness is important. But why is it important? We use it in a pretty pragmatic way, to be honest. We think playfulness helps us get to better creative solutions, helps us do our jobs better, and helps us feel better when we do some aluminum foil, right? You use it in the kitchen. That's what it is, isn't it? Of course it is. Of course it is. Well, not necessarily. Kids are more engaged with open possibilities. Now, they'll certainly, when they come across something new, they'll certainly ask, what is it? Of course they will. But they'll also ask, what can I do with it? And, the more creative of them might get to a really kind of interesting example. And this openness is the beginning of exploratory play. So again, this is another one of those playful activities that as we get older, we tend to forget and that we have to relearn. Wrong. I mean, can you have rules about creativity? Well, it sort of turns out that we need rules to help us break the old rules and norms that otherwise we might bring to the creative process. And we've certainly learned that over time, you get much better brainstorming, much more creative outcomes when everybody does play by the rules. And building is the next of the behaviors that I thought I'd talk about. So the average Western first grader spends as much as 50% of their playtime taking part in what's called construction play. Construction play it's playful, obviously, but also a powerful way to learn. When play is about building a tower out of blocks, the kid begins to learn a lot about towers. And as they repeatedly knock it down and start again, learning is happening as a sort of byproduct of play. It's classically learning by doing. Instead of building play, I think this can be approached with role play. Research into kids' behavior actually suggests that it's worth taking role-playing seriously. Because when children play a role, they actually follow social scripts quite closely that they've learned from us as adults. If one kid plays store and another one's playing house, then the whole kind of play falls down. And so they get quite used quite quickly to understanding the rules for social interactions, and actually quite quick to point out when they're broken. So when a kid dresses up as a firefighter, he's beginning to try on that identity. He wants to know what it feels like to be a firefighter. We're doing the same thing as designers. We're trying on these experiences. And so the idea of role play is both as an empathy tool as well as a tool for prototyping experiences. And so far, I kind of admit that this might feel like it's a message just to go out and play like a kid. And to a certain extent it is, but I want to stress a couple of points. First thing to remember is that play is not anarchy. Play has rules, especially when it's group play. And when kids play Tea Party or they play Cops and Robbers, they're following a script that they've agreed to. And it's this co-negotiation that leads to productive play. But there aren't just rules about how to play, there are rules about when to play. Kids don't play all the time, obviously. They transition in and out of it. And teachers, good teachers spend a lot of time thinking about how to move kids through these experiences. So to kind of sum it up, we need trust to play, and we need trust to be creative. So there's a connection. And there are a series of behaviors that we've learned as kids and that turn out to be quite useful to us as designers. They include exploration, which is about going for quantity, building and thinking with your hands, and role play, where acting it out helps us both have more empathy for the situations in which we're designing and to create services and experiences that are seamless and authentic. Thank you very much.